recording mode. All right, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, everyone. You are welcome to this week's sessions on Python programming, which we started last week. I'll share my screen and then quickly do a revision with us on what we discussed last week so that all of us will be on the same page today. And I hope the revision can be done in 3-5 minutes, and then we will be able to move, inshallah, from there. So confirm to me that you can see my screen.
Yes, sir, we can see it, sir.
All right, thank you very much. So last week, I
Can
discussed...
see you.
All right, thanks. I told us why people write programs, and I identified these 6 reasons. You can make money with it. You can become smarter with it, as you will find along the way. But in the business environment, we write programs to solve problems. Even as individuals, we write programs to solve problems. We're trying to make our businesses better, and we want to minimize or eliminate waste in our business environment. And for a country where you have lots of programmers, development in terms of economic, activities will come easily within that environment. So we talked about different programming languages and why we are picking Python. Then I described to us how programs work. You are there as programmers, you are writing programs using different languages, and your programs may be compiled or interpreted, and then the processors will execute what you have instructed it to do. Then we showed how you can install Python. We showed how you can install an integrated development environment like PyCharm. We downloaded the community edition and started using it. And then I did some demo to us. Then I discussed programming element with us vis-a-vis input, process, and output. And I told us every program you write will always have these 3 components. There will be a set of input, there will be processes, and then there will be some results that you display. Then I told us that there are operators that we use in computer programming environment. We started using arithmetic operators last week. Later this week, we will be able to use some other operators like relational operators. Then I told us what variables are. I liken them to boxes where you can keep things, but they are memory locations in the brain of the computer where information can be stored even before they are processed, and when they are processed, they are also stored there. So it's the same way I'll meet Emisi, for instance, and I'll be able to remember her name. But when I am looking at Miriam, for instance, I will not call her Emisi because I know she's Miriam. So I have kept their names differently, and I have put a tag on those locations in my brain, such that when I see Miriam, I'll greet her as Miriam. And when I see Emisi or Peace, I'll greet them with their names. That is the way variables work. They are locations within the memory of the computer. And I equally stated that variables have different types of data that they can process. So when I'm asking you for your date of birth, you don't tell me your gender, because one is a text, the other one is a date. So appropriate data types must be processed. So we talked about rules for naming variables. Then we showed us different data types that are available in Python. Then we started using int and float to write some programs. So the first program we wrote last week was to compute your total score in math. It can be in any subject. It computes your total score for you if you know your continuous assessment or your midterm grade, and then you are able to find your exam score. So it will add the two together to give you the total score. So this was the way we analyzed the code. We need two input from you, continuous assessment and exam, or your midterm score and exam. And then you can add both together to get you the total score. So we wrote this code last week. I will show us the code shortly. Then we wrote one other code to find the area of any given triangle if you know the length and the breadth. So this program will also take two inputs and then it will process the area for you using this formula. Area is equal to length times breadth. Then we wrote this program on account balance, which asked you for some variables. It asked you for your opening balance, the first deposit you made, the second deposit you made, your third deposit, and the only withdrawal you made. And then it was able to compute your closing balance for you. We were able to write this program last week. And you can see that this one is more complex than just this one that is multiplying two numbers to get the third one. So today we will continue with our series of exercises. It will be slightly more complex, but it's also very simple as far as I am concerned. So let me show us the programs we wrote last week. This was the last one we wrote, the one that deals with withdrawal and deposit. So we started by saying, we need you to tell us your opening balance. And just like we demonstrated to us, you always use input command when you are expecting your users to type some things. When you want them to supply info to you, you need to say, okay, I'm expecting an input from the user. And the message you put into this bracket is what you want to display to the user. So this line 3 is saying, I will display this message, opening balance, to my users. And I want them to input something to me. Whatever they input from the keyboard, I am converting it to float, which we have told ourselves stands for decimal number. And we are using decimal because we are dealing with money. Money can have points something. So whatever users type in, we are storing it in this memory location that we have created and tagged as opening balance. And we did the same thing for deposit 1, deposit 2, up to withdrawal 1. Then our process after getting those 5 inputs was to say, for us to calculate our closing balance, we must add deposit 1, 2, and 3 to our opening balance, and then remove our withdrawal from it, and then we will be able to get the closing balance. And then we displayed our results by showing that opening balance is this opening balance, first deposits, all the way down to withdrawal 1. And then we were able to display the closing balance here. So I will run this program again, just for us to see. To run, just click on Run Example 5. And then it's asking me, what's your opening balance? I'll put 50,000. My first deposit, I deposited 6,700. Second deposit, I deposited 18,000 naira. Then the third one, I deposited 3,400. Then I withdrew 34,000. And it will tell me if these are the figures that you have put in, your opening balance was 50K, then you deposited 6,700, then 18,000, then 3,400, and then you withdrew 34,000. Then your closing balance will be 44,100. So if you check using your normal pen and paper, this is what the result will be. So this is a way of writing a simple program that can get numeric input from you that may be decimal, and then it does the processing in a very simple way. Now, I told us last week that this code may not work under certain circumstances, and I showed us that context. I will show us again just for refresher's sake. If I run this program and I say my opening balance is 100 naira, then I added 45 naira, then I added 75 naira, then I added 35 naira, and I want to withdraw 500 naira. There is already a problem because the amount that I'm withdrawing is greater than my total balance prior to the withdrawal. So you will get a negative result. But in real life, this may not be possible. So before the end of this week, I will show us how to control this kind of situation so that you don't allow withdrawal of any figure that is higher than what your total account balance is. So that summarizes where we are at the moment. So the example I'm supposed to work on today is this, and I will use this and then we build on it again. Let's just interpret it in a very simple way. We're supposed to write a program to calculate the area, diameter, and circumference of a circle if you know the radius. So for those who may not know what a circle is like your pizza. When you buy pizza, it's always like the plate that we use most times in many homes. So from the center of that circle or that plate to the edge of it, the distance between the center and the edge is known as the radius. So center is O, and if you trace it all the way to the edge of the circle, that's the radius. And it is the same distance all through the circumference. So in mathematics, if you are told to find the area of any given circle, the formula is pi r square, or pi times radius times radius. Now, if you are asked to calculate the diameter, it is pi times 2 times radius, or 2 pi r, or pi d, because diameter is, in fact, some people will just tell you this may not be necessary. Diameter should just be 2 times radius. So this formula, I think, is wrong. It should be 2r, not 2 pi r. 2 pi r stands for the circumference. So I got this from somewhere on the internet. So that formula is wrong. So this should be 2 times radius. So let's go back. Yeah, so this is the correct formula for calculating your diameter. And then the circumference is 2 pi r, which is the error that this one computes. So if you get a question like this, how do you go about solving it? We'll solve this together. I will do a more complicated shape. We can check on the internet for one. I will solve it together. And then I'll give us an exercise to solve together in class. And then you can practice more on that. And I guess I can close chapter temporarily on numbers. Then during the week, we'll come back to numbers when we are done with text. So let me go back to the programming environment. We were on example 5. So to get example 6, I'll right click on our project. I'll say, give me a new Python file. And here I'll call it example 006. And then it gives me this blank screen. Okay, Missy, don't worry. I'm going to share the link with you to the recording. Just drop your phone number in the chat box, and then you will be able to see your prior recordings. Apologies for that. Now, so on this blank screen, what do I want to do? You know, typically, I told us last week, you can come in and put this sign, which is Shift 3 on your keyboard, Shift 3 together. And I'll say goal of this program. A Python code to calculate some parameters of a circle. Okay. Then who is the author? we'll say our class. Even though you can put your name there. Then when was it written? 12th August 2024. All of these are just comments. The computer doesn't have anything to do with them, so it will ignore them. So the real program starts now. I told us our code, just like anywhere, will always have 3 different segments output. So I normally will start with this. Apologies, this should be input. So in a circle environment, how many inputs do we think we need? It's only one. So it is radius. And radius in our case can be decimal. So we'll say radius is equal to float. Input. Let's say, what is the radius of the circle? That's the message that we want our users to see. I just push a space here just for people to see where the cursor is blinking. So even at this point, our program can work, but it won't work perfectly. So let me remove this and say, what is the radius of the circle? So if you go into this and say, run the current file, it's asking me on the lower side here, what is the radius of the circle? So if I say 7.9 and I press enter, the program finishes. It doesn't do anything more. It has accepted that 7.9 and has stored it in radius. But we have not written any other line to say, okay, after this instruction on line 6, what else should the code do? Nothing has been stated, and that's why it just stopped. So we now want to tell you what to do. So we can go in there and say area is equal to, according to our logic, we want area to be pi r squared. So it is radius times 3.142. This will be the formula for area of a circle. Okay. Now to get the diameter, we said this is radius times 2. And then to get the circumference, we said this is 2 times 3.142 times radius. This is 2 pi r, literally. So these 3 lines, lines 9, 10, 11, will help us calculate area, diameter, and circumference. And then even if we stop here, it will still act like it did previously. If we run this code again, and I put 7.9, it will still end. But we don't know what it has done. It has executed all the codes up to line 11. So it has kept the result of area in this memory location. It has kept the result of diameter in this memory location. And it has kept the result of circumference here. But we are not asking it yet to display the result to us. So that is the next thing we need to do. And the easiest way to do that, like I said last week, is whenever you want to display message to your users, you use this keyword print. Print is the command, lowercase. So I'll say area is equal to, in fact, just the area is, I put this there and say comma area. Then I get to the next line, I put another print statement and I say diameter is comma diameter. And the last element there is circumference. Circumference is going to be whatever is stored in that variable called circumference. And this is the complete program that works. So let's check this when we run it. I'll run it with 7.9 again. When you click, it's asking me, what is the radius of the circle? 7.9. And when I do this, it says if your circle has a radius of 7.9, then its area has to be 196.09222. The diameter has to be 15.8, which is 2 times 7.9. And then the circumference has to be 49.6436. So this is a complete code now that gets one input from you, line 6, which is your radius. Just like we did last week, this is too long. We can just say, give us the radius. Okay. Give us the radius, and then it will do all of the calculations for you. And you can play around with any set of figures here. I can choose something very simple, radius of 7. The diameter is 14. The area is 153.96. And then the circumference is 43.99. Once the code works once, it will always work in any other situation that it has been programmed to handle. And this is a very simplistic form of this code. Now, in some other environments, even though Python environment, there is another way I could have written this code. Remember here, I put pi as 3.142 here in line 9, and the same thing in line 11. What if I don't want to put 3.142 here, and I want the computer to use the standard value of pi? Pi is not just 3.142. There are some other numbers at the end of 2. So there is a second way I could have written this program. So let me copy it. Copy the old code. I'll say create a new page for me. Call it example 6. Oh, 6 already exists. Then call it example 7. So say this is example 007. Error in the name. So to rename that, I'll right click, refactor, and put X here. So this is the correct name. I'll paste this code here. But remember I said I want to change something there. I don't want pi to be 3.142 as it is. I might have made mistakes in my definition of pi here. So what people will do is to say import math. When you write that statement in line 5 here, called import math, you are saying, I want Python to get inspired with the knowledge of mathematics, such that most things that people do in math, this code should be able to do it. So that is what this line is saying. The knowledge that is based in math, import it. It's like you are installing that knowledge in Python code that you are writing. So when I now get here, instead of writing 3.142, I'll say math.py, because it knows what is math.py. When I get here, I will not say 3.142, I'll say math.py. And then if I run my code, everything will work like it did before. So we'll go up a little bit, radius 7. We still get the same kind of results. So this version of the code is more elegant than the previous version we have in example 006, even though both of them are giving us pretty much the same result. When you look at it, they may be slightly different. This one ends with 9985, But if I run the other one, it may not because of the decimal place difference. But the main message here will be 153.9. It will be the same if you run, whether you are using this version 6 or you are using this version 7. So the message here for you is to take note of line 5. You can use import math. And that math has so many things inside it. For instance, I can show you some of the things that you have inside math. I can say math, when you press dot, it will give you a long list of things that are contained in there. It can do square root. At your level, you won't know what a ceiling is, so I won't bore you with that. It can do square root of a number. It can find the log of a number to a given base. It can do trigonometry for you. You can see some of the trigonometric expression. It can do combination. It can do degrees. It can do distribution. It can do exponentiation. It can do factorial for those of you that are doing further maths. It can do hypotenuse of a right angle triangle. I will demonstrate that in my next example. There are so many things that it can do. It can raise one number to another number. I will equally demonstrate that. Give me a second. I think that's what I saw. Then POY. I will do remainder. What else? What else is here? I guess that's basically it. So it's a very powerful library, which we may need to be making use of. So that's one example using import math. Now, let's use this same knowledge to solve a separate example or a separate puzzle. I'll copy this code. In fact, I may not copy it. Just move into example 8. Say example 008. I hope I don't have 8 somewhere. All right. Now, I want to write a code. This is a question. And the goal is to find the hypotenuse of a right angle triangle. I assume we still remember what a rat is. Given side, given the base and height. Okay. Given the base and the height. Yeah. So in mathematics, what they would do is if you have a right angle triangle and you need to find the hypotenuse, there is something they call Pythagoras theorem. I'll go back to the slide just to show us what that means. Now, if you are here, let me put this in presentation mode so I'll be able to write on my screen. If you're trying to get this logic, a right angle triangle looks like this. You have a line, horizontal line, and then this is the hypotenuse. So if this is your angle theta, then this will be the opposite, but you're not even needing that. You only need this as your height. This is your base. This angle must be 90, and then this is your hypotenuse that we're trying to find. So the law in mathematics, if this is H, and sorry, don't let me use that H, let me call it C. If this one is C, and this is A, and this is B, mathematics says C is equal to the square root of A squared plus B squared. For secondary school students, I think from GS3 and above, they should have learned this. So if you understand this formula, which they call the Pythagoras theorem, you can do something like this in Python to find the hypotenuse. And I can give you some standard options. If A is 3 and B is 4, in standard environment, your C is going to be 5. From experience, I can tell you that. So how do you go about implementing this in Python? So I will escape quickly. Just hold on a second. I need to escape from this screen. Can we also get the record? Yeah, everybody can get the recording. Don't worry, you'll get this. I don't know what's wrong with my screen. Just give me a second. All right, I go back to sharing my secondary monitor. All right, so we're back here. So if you go back to this screen and they're asking you to indicate what is the base. The base in this case will be float. We want an input from our users and they will give us the base of the triangle. Then we also need the height of the triangle. It can be decimal. We need an input from the user and then we'll display this message to them, height. That's our input in this program. Just 2 things that we are picking from our users. And then we will do one process. And the process is to calculate the hypotenuse. And we said the hypotenuse, you saw the formula for it. So how do I go about doing that? I need to do base times base plus height times height. And then I'll find the square root of these 2 expressions. But on the keyboard, we don't have the opportunity of using square root sign. So we will run into issues. Yeah. So let me show you a shortcut for doing this in mathematics. Mathematicians can come in and say, use this symbol, shift 6 to do raised to power. And square root is regarded as half. So they will say raised to power half. This may work for them. That's one method. But this is telling me, I don't know what you mean by this. So that technically won't work around here. So let me solve this problem in a very simple way. I'll go back up here and say import maths. I need that knowledge of maths. So instead of I saying base times base, I need base raised to power 2. So I'll come in here and remove this and say the first expression is math.pow, POW rather. This is, I want to raise one number to the power of another number. So what is the number that I want to raise? Base. And what is the index? I want to raise it to power 2. So that is base raised to power 2. Base times base for me. Then plus, I need to do the same thing for height. Height raised to power 2. But I want everything to be, added to each other, and then I find the square root of the result. So look at it like this. Expression, just to break it down for you, if I cut this and I say x is equal to this, then I cut this one and say y is equal to this. So the next thing you are supposed to do is to find the square root of x plus y. So you can say math dot hypotenuse. And it's now asking me for the two elements. I'll say this one has X and then it has Y. And I guess I should be fine with this. And I can now go to the next layer and put the result here, output. Output to be print hypotenuse and then show the result as hypotenuse. I will re-explain this in case you don't get this. So let's run this. It should prompt us for two things, our base and our height. So the first one is asking me for base. Base is 4, height is 3. The result should be 5. It brought out a different result. Why? Because I made a mistake in my process. So I will remove this line and say it should be my base and then my height. Those are the two parameters that are needed. So if I run it again, base is 4, height is 3, my result is 5. So this is correct. So you can see, as complicated as the logic looks, when you look at the diagram that I drew initially, we have eliminated that by just saying send base and height into this expression, and it will do that mathematical magic for you and give you the result of the hypotenuse. And that is what you display here. So you don't need to know how to raise number to 1 power or to find square root. This logic here is doing that for you. And this is a program that can help you find the hypotenuse of any right angle triangle if you know the base and you know the height. You don't have to work the maths out. One line and you get your results. Just send in 2 input. Do I have any question on this? Because I will now give you an exercise and then ask you to help me solve it. Okay, say no question. I need you to help me write a program. Let me open it. It will be my example 9. Okay, this program, you will tell me, I want to buy bread. Okay. Not riddle. It's bread that I want. I want to buy any product. Okay, so let me say any product. I want to buy any product. And I need you to ask me for the price of the product, the quantity that I am buying, the discount that you may want to give me, and then you tell me the output now. You tell me amount to be paid. Can someone guide me on what I need to do to achieve this? We need to write a program to buy any product. You will tell me the price of the product. You will tell me the quantity that you are buying. You will tell me if you are giving me a discount, what the discount will be, and then we will be able to calculate the amount that the customer will pay. What would the logic look like? Anybody? So this is going to be a class exercise. We have to do it together. So please help me. What do I do?
Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Wa alaikum salam, Ridwan.
Okay, sir. We are in the any product. We'll
Okay.
type any product.
Okay. So let me say product. Okay. So I've helped you here. Okay. So that's the first thing.
Price.
Okay, you said price. Thanks a lot. Price is what?
Yes, sir.
So what next?
Maybe 20 naira.
Now, what is the command that I will write?
Integer.
Ah, okay. If you say
Input.
integer, okay, we'll test this. So we'll say price.
Input. What
Okay.
is
Okay, so it gives us the price. What next? Any other person? Rodwan has tried. What's
quantity?
quantity? Yeah,
Isn't
you
it
you are
supposed to
really
be
flowing.
float?
Oh,
Isn't it supposed to be float?
quantity is what? Is it integer or float?
Mm.
Int. Okay. Thanks a lot. Then input, I will say quantity. What next? Help me, help me. I am sure you know it. What's the next thing I'll do? Discount. And the discount here will be float, input, and then I'll indicate the discount. Okay, so these are my input that I need. So for the process, we'll say total amount to be paid will be equal to price times, it's capital P, price times quantity minus discount. That's the formula. Okay, and then when we get to output, we will say print the following things for us. Product, print the product, print unit price, even though we call it price, it doesn't matter. So I can just be consistent and say print the price, then print the quantity also. Would like to see it. Then print total amount. And this should work. So let's check the code again. We started by asking users to tell us the product name. We store whatever they send us as product. Just input, because it's a text that we're expecting from them. We are not expecting a number, so that's why we are not putting int or float around it. Then the next line, we are asking them for the price. And then I was guided that I should put input and then with integer. I have an issue with this because price may be point something. And that's why I need to adjust this to float. That's the only adjustment there because price can be decimal. Then quantity int is correct because if you are buying bread, bread cannot be point something, milk cannot be point something, Congo of Gary cannot be point something. So it will be a whole number, and that's why int is correct. Discount, they may give us a discount that is decimal, so it's correct to have float there. And then this logic is correct. Total amount should be price times quantity. then minus discount. So to make it easier, some people will say, put your bracket here so that they will know that price must be multiplied with the quantity first before you remove the discount, even though Python engine knows how to sort that out on its own. And then after this logic is done, we will now display the result here. So I'll run this code and check what I see. So it's asking me for the product. So what do you want us to buy? I want pizza. I've been talking about pizza for a while. So the price is 12,000 naira. How many am I buying? I'm buying 3. So you expect the result to be 36,000 naira. But then I have a discount of 5,000. So my result should be 31,000 naira. And that is correct. That's what you see here. That's what you see displayed under here. So this code can take 4 inputs from you, and then it displays the logic. No, it calculates the total amount based on this logic, and it can give you the result. Now, at an advanced level, this is not the way codes are written, because what you will see is we will say if you have bought product up to a particular level, the machine should automatically calculate what your discount will be. It may be 3% of what you have bought. It may be 5%. It may be 1% of what you have bought. But for a start, let us do it exactly the way we have done it. Later this week, maybe by Thursday, you will start learning how to handle discounts in an automatic way. I can show it to you quickly just to whet your appetite against Thursday. But okay, just hold on. Let me do that. When you get in here, discount will not just be discount. You won't ask them to give you the discount. So let me enhance this code and call it example 10. So I'll copy it and say, write a new code and call it example 010 and then put it here. So instead of asking people for discount will be 0 originally. Okay. And then we will come into process and say amount is also 0. Then we will come in here, cut this and say amount is equal to price times quantity, correct? And naturally, total value to be paid should be amount less discount. But we don't know what the discount is. So let's calculate discount. So we can come in and say this. If amount is greater than 30,000, then discount should be 5/100 times amount. So I am giving 5% discount. Okay. That's one logic. Otherwise, that's the only scenario that will give me that kind of scenario. So I have this here. Amount, what's your problem? Okay, let's run this. If I run this, product name, it's pizza. Our price is 12,000 and I bought 2. It tells me that I am paying 24,000 naira because that is 12,000 times 2 is 24,000. And the reason why it is not giving a discount is because the 24,000, which is my amount, is not greater than 30,000 naira. So there is no discount to be applied. But check the next scenario. If I rerun this code and I say pizza, it's 12,000 and I'm buying 3. It will not charge me 36,000 naira because after it does the computation of 12,000 times 3, it gets 36,000. Then it will come to line 17 and check if 36,000 is greater than 30,000, then it will calculate the discount. It has calculated 5% of 36,000, and then that is what it's removing from my amount, and that's why I'm getting 34,200 here. But I don't want to bore you with this. Just know that this is the way people write codes. I will show us before the end of the week how you can start writing conditional statements like this. And the same thing is what you will have applied to your scenario or writing a code where you get your midterm score and add it to your exam score before you get your total score. So if you prompt users for midterm score and they indicate something higher than 30, the system should reject it. Otherwise, the program is not doing what it is supposed to do. So we'll talk more about this in the course of the week. But going back to example 9, this is your code. It prompts you for 4 things. It applies this logic that we all agreed to, and then it is displaying the result to you. Now, one exercise that I need to leave you with, I think I have it in my slide, will be, let me see, example 5, we've done it. An assignment. Okay, this one. I need you to think about this scenario. It's a very simple scenario. I need you to write a code in Python that can calculate the volume of any given swimming pool if you know the length, the breadth, and then the height. The formula that you need will be, I'll give you. So you need height, breadth, and then length as your input. Your process will be volume is equal to length times height times breadth. Yeah. This is the formula. And then you just display the result. So I've actually helped you in writing this. But just to guide you, this is the logic. Write a code. It will prompt for the height of the swimming pool. It will prompt us for the breadth of the swimming pool or the width. Most people prefer this. I think I actually feel more comfortable with that. And then it will prompt you for the, so I'll update this also to read width. So you get the height, the width, and the length of the pool, and you multiply the 3 numbers together. It will give you the volume of that swimming pool. And you can use this sort of approach to write any kind of mathematical code that you may be given. You are still handling the task one by one, like a human being. You are not handling things yet like a computer. If you want to start handling things like a computer, then you should be able to do multiple things at the speed of computer, just like I will demonstrate to you on screen, and then we end the demo for today. So let's say, for instance, someone asked me to write a code 011. Someone asked me to write a code to generate numbers from 0 to 100. Okay. I know what most people would think of is to say, I'll write print 0. Okay, this is going to work. And I'll copy it. And then I'll paste it I may even say print 0, then print 1, then you say print 2, print 3. If you follow this approach, maybe by the time you'll be done, of course, you have been able to display 0, 1, 2, 3. If you follow this method, by the time you are done, I will have trekked to Kano and trekked back. You'll still be pasting, print this, print that. So how do you solve that problem in a typical programming environment? See what we would do. We'll just say number, or the numbers you want, in the range that I'm supposed to type, not range. Then the range of 0 through 101, increasing in step 1. So I need you to print those numbers. Those numbers should be printed in a form of a list. So just these 2 lines will solve my problem that you were trying to solve before. I can even just say 101 here, and that's it. So if I run this code, you can see my results. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And it goes on and on and on and on. And then it will end at 100. So this is a program working as a program. It's not using that previous method of print every line. You will have written 100 or 101 print commands. But with just one print command, I am able to generate the same set of numbers. And this is beautiful. Even if you say, okay, you want 1,000 numbers, it's not a problem. I'll just add another 0 there. I'll run the code and it's done. And then start from 0, you go, go. You see, any limit you give it, it will solve it. We will get to this point. I don't want you to be scared, but just to whet your appetite that before the end of the week, you'll be able to do things like this. Someone else may ask you, write a program that will show me even numbers between 1 and 100, or between 0 and 100. That's a technical question, but you can actually solve it with about 4 lines of code. And everybody will be like, oh, really? Is that possible? Yes, it is possible. And I'll show you that and end today's session. So what you want to see is even numbers. So I'll say for any number in numbers, if the number divided by 2 gives me 0, then print that number. And that's all. In my opinion, this should be everything here. So if I run this code, it gives me the results. 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. These are even numbers between 0 and 100. Just 4 lines of code and the problem is solved. You will learn this. Don't get agitated. Oh, how did it do it? We will come back to this. You will even be able to solve more complicated things. I can say, give me numbers that are divisible by 5 between 0 and 100. I just changed the denominator there to 5, and it will show me the numbers 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, up to 100. Oh, give me numbers that are divisible by 8. Straight division. Then it gives me 8, 16, 24, 32, 40, 48, and so on and so forth. And you start wondering, oh, is it possible to be that powerful as a programmer? The answer is yes. You will learn how to do this before the end of the week, but as a form of recap for today, I started from example 6 and showed us how we can write a Python code that will ask us for the radius of a circle. We can put in a decimal input and it will help us calculate the area by saying radius times 3.142, and it will keep the result in this variable called area. That same logic can be used to calculate diameter by multiplying radius by 2. So you can see the multiplication sign is Shift 8 on your keyboard, not X, because this is the operator that I'm using here. Then for circumference, it is equal to 2 times pi times radius. And then we displayed our results. And we improved on this code by going to example 7, by importing maths. And that maths import allows us to say math.pi here. Instead of writing 3.142 or 22/7, we just put math.pi and the logic remains the same till the end of the code. Then in example 8, we did something similar. We wanted to calculate the hypotenuse of a right angle triangle if you know the base and the height. And we used the same maths knowledge again by asking for base and height. And then we passed the two to maths.hypot, and it was able to tell us what the hypotenuse is. If you want to find the square root of a number, for instance, you could have written, just to add 2 more things that I put here. If you want to find square root of 4 or any number, you could have written math.sqrt and it will ask you for the number. So square root of 9 is going to be 3. If you run this code and you say my input is 4, 3, and then I'll get hypotenuse is 5, and then square root of 9 is 3.0. These are some things that you can do in programming environments at this basic level. Then in example 9, I stretched us, we did this together. We were able to write a program in Python that could ask us for our product name. It could ask us for the price, the quantity, and the discount. And it displayed the result to us down here. But one thing I need to mention as a form of wrap-up ahead of tomorrow is it is not in all situations that you will be displaying your result line by line like this. And I guess this part is essential. So what else could I have done? I could have done something like this. Let me say print, and then you put asterisk all through, just to decorate the screen. I could have done something like this, print. Instead of just coming in here to start typing my statement, I will first put F small letter outside, and I will wrap it with the apostrophe opening and closing. So when you do this, you'll be in the position to say the cost of product. This is the statement in my head. The cost of product X at price Y and quantity this, given discount that is this. Okay, so you can see the English. The cost of product X1 at price X2 and quantity X3 given discount X4 is X5. This sounds silly because we have not used X1, X2 up to X5 in our code, but I used those elements as placeholders. They are temporary things. I will remove them immediately. So when you write out your statement like this, you can now come in and say, if I have put F here, and this is very important, once you put F here, I can say product, I don't want it as X1. Rather, I'll put this curly bracket. And with that curly bracket, I can type the product variable. So it has removed X1 that was there. And when I come into price, I'll put curly brackets and put price there. When I get to quantity, I'll put the curly bracket, not the square bracket. I'll put the curly one and I'll put the variable name. When I get to discount, there is no X4. I'll put the curly bracket and say discount. And when I get to the final one, this is where we're needing a total amount. I'll put the total amount here. So when I go back and read, the program will read the cost of, I don't need to put this again, at this price, and quantity this, given discount, this is this. So let's run this. Name of the product, pizza. It is 12,000 Naira. We bought 2. This one is asking for discount. Okay, let me give you 300 Naira discount. So the first method displays the product name, the price on a separate line, quantity on a separate line, and then it gave me the total amount. But the second method says, no, I can display everything on a single line for you. And it will be the cost of pizza at 12,000 and, quantity 2. I can change it to 2 units. Given discount 300 is 23,700. This is more dynamic and more flexible than writing all your outputs in a single line. We will stick to the first method, but sometimes we will switch to the second one, but I need you to be familiar with it. So that is my story for today. I thank you for coming around. I will share the recording with all of us. Just drop your phone number on the chat box. I will create a WhatsApp group with your phone numbers, and I will put the link to today's session and the previous sessions there so that you can watch. But don't forget the task that you need to perform against tomorrow for me. This is it. Write a code to calculate the volume of a swimming pool given the height, the width, and the length. Thanks a lot for coming around. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Let me see your phone number. Please drop it. Everyone else, drop your phone number. I'll create a WhatsApp group and I'll drop the link to the videos for today's class and for prior classes. Any comment, any question from anyone? Okay, I've seen 2 phone numbers. I've seen 3. Don't forget to drop your phone numbers. I've seen 4. I've seen 5. All right, I've seen 6. 003-626-7380. Where is 8? 08160 20 4521. All right. All right. Thanks a lot. See you tomorrow.
Thank